This is part three of therapy and going and exploring our past and seeing what lessons we can learn through um, our past and things that and thoughts and reflections and experiences that we have that bother us, and what we can do to move past them, basically. So I remember constantly, like almost every day, like if like in the like from the past, like if somebody yelled at me, or when somebody made me feel really bad about myself, or when somebody hated on me or made me feel sad or fearful. And a lot of the theme of my life has been fear. It's been a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of fear. Like I'm always afraid to do things because somebody tells me you cannot do it because you're like stupid, or because you're not good enough, or because you can't do it, or because you shouldn't do it for all these reasons. A lot of the interactions have always been based on anger and hatred and like superiority and inferiority. So I remember a lot of like kids, like a lot of guys, girls, like growing up in school, in all of these public schools, whether it was middle school or high school, like they would always like put you down. They would always tell you you're not good enough, or you got a certain test score, so you're dumb, or how they're better than you because they're doing better, or they won a prize, or that you didn't win, or something like that. So, and even in that certain age, it's always like they make it such a competition, like somebody's number one and somebody's number two and number three, and everybody else is just trying to like beat each other up or compete and stuff like that. And it's a very, very huge learning curve, because how do you make friends? How do you find people who you connect with? How do you find what you want to do, or what you're interested in, or what subjects you like, or what you want to do for the rest of your life? And so it's a very tumultuous time. And I feel like because I am still like think about all of those like troubled times, it really affects my relationships that I have today, or that I try to have had. Like when I remember, like if I go to a certain place and it reminds me of like the event that we had there, it automatically triggers those memories of like, oh, there were all these people there and it was so painful, and there was a guy or girl, and they were ignoring me, and they weren't talking to me, and they never like made any friends like with me and stuff like that. So it's a lot of neglect, and it's a lot of like sadness, like, and mostly just like I feel neglected and also like left out, basically a feeling of like being left out, basically. And it's just very painful, kind of all of these memories. And so what I'm going to do is go over a lot of really wonderful things that I've read from a religious text called the Bhagavad Gita. And in it, the Bhagavad Gita explains a lot about virtuous natures and how to live life. And a section that I'm going to read is going to describe, and it's very, very useful. It's gonna explain the divine qualities and the demonic qualities of nature. So this really helps us to know what true nature is and what our divine nature is, and what we really need to be going into, like what our goals should be, like how we should like basically behave. And this has really helped me to like gain clarity on how to not be fearful, how to not be sad, how to not be angry, how to forgive, how to not think about all those people who like hurt me, or hurt other people in the past, and how to move beyond the past and kind of live in the present. So the very first quality we'll discover all of the virtues of the saintly nature, so the saintly and the divine qualities. So the first one is fearlessness. So fearlessness occurs when there's purity of the mind. So when you have a pure mind, you're completely fearless because you have complete and full faith in God. So in fearlessness, thoughts are ethical, wholesome, positive, and uplifting, and the mind is considered pure. The second one is steadfastness. So again, fearlessness, like cultivating fearlessness and saying to yourself every day that I am not afraid. I'm completely fearless. I have no fear inside my heart, my mind, my body, because I know that God is taking care of me and God is serving me. And whenever somebody yells at me or throws something at me or is angry or describes hatred or tries to put their negativity on me in whatever way, or gets jealous or tries to throw the evil eye on me, I am fearless, because I know that God is taking care of me and God is protecting me from all the energy, because God is all of the positivity that we are all covered by. So the very first thing you want to develop is fearlessness. The second one is purity of mind, and you get purity of mind by practicing chanting the holy name of God and also practicing service. So when you serve God through serving others, your mind becomes pure and your heart becomes pure. Like, it cleanses your heart and your mind. So volunteer for once a week, volunteering, or like going out and helping someone or donating something or doing something for charity. All of those things help cleanse our heart and our body and our mind, and it gives us positive vibrations and energies. So the third one is steadfastness. So steadfastness in spiritual knowledge. What this means is that we will have to continuously read the spiritual scriptures and practice what they are teaching in our daily lives. So that's steadfastness in spiritual knowledge. So the reading spiritual books like on a daily basis, and participating and practicing spiritual acts on a daily basis, whether that's prayer or meditation or chanting or wishing good wishes on someone or wishing good things for yourself, like things like that. And then so spiritual knowledge and reading and reciting and giving spiritual knowledge and practicing it is very important for virtue of saintly nature. The fourth thing is charity. So true charity is when you give something to someone without expecting anything in return, or without expecting any gratitude from the other person in return. So that's true charity. And then the fifth one is control of the senses. So restraint of the senses is very heavily underlined in the Bhagavad Gita, and that's because our senses and our sense organs are the 5 gates to the outside world. And in order to go within, we have to restrain them or control them. So we have to control what we see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. And the reason for that is that we live in a world called Maya. So in the Maya, there's a lot of illusion. And you can literally like see someone wearing a really beautiful dress, and immediately you become under the illusion of Maya, and you're like, I want that dress. So you've completely come upon are bound by that spell, and now like then you go to the store, like you go to like Target or whatever, and then you buy that exact same dress. So Maya, like it binds you to the material world. Like you get trapped and locked into it. And there are these two components called Rag and Dvesh. So Rag is attachment, so you become attached to that beautiful dress, and then you want to do things. Your mind tells you, oh, I need to go immediately to Target and like buy this dress. So then then you don't have control over your mind, but your mind has control of you, and Maya has control over you. So that's not good. So we have to really control and restrain our senses, and we can do that by fasting. Like say like for one day of the week we have a fast, or we only eat one meal that day, or fasting our eyes, like we won't have any TV for the whole entire day, or taking a vow of like we won't speak for an entire day. We'll give our voice some rest. So doing things like that are going to be control of senses. And another thing that really something that very big that ties into control of the senses is practice of celibacy. So celibacy means that you restrain your sexual practices, and celibacy is not only restricted to just the body, but it also means not thinking about sexual things, like not thinking about having sex or sexual acts or anything like that. It's like your mind is completely free from it, and your body is also completely free from it, and even your sense organs don't engage in watching or hearing for anything about it. So that's real celibacy, and that goes into control of senses. So when we have our senses controlled and we are completely focusing on our duties, we're able to better tread the path to God. Restraining our senses makes it easier for us to start walking on the path towards God. And then the sixth one is sacrifice. So sacrifice means that executing one's responsibilities and duties that are prescribed and social obligations, even though they may not be enjoyable. So like you wake up in the morning, you don't like to brush or floss your teeth, but those are your prescribed duties. You don't like to cook food for your children, or you don't like to go and pick up the trash, or you don't like to take your dog out for a walk, but those are all prescribed duties. We don't like to go to work, but those are all of our prescribed duties. So doing them as sacrifice and doing them for the love and service of God. And then the next one is austerity. So austerity means that when we restrain the body, mind, senses, they become more disciplined, and that's why we have to be austere. That's why we need to be that way, and that's why austerity is very important to practice. And then the next one is straightforwardness. So straightforwardness is basically just a personality where you approach a simpleness to life, simplicity in speech and in conduct. And then the next ones are non-violence, so not killing anything or anyone, which is another very important aspect of religion. And truthfulness, so always speaking the truth. And then absence of anger is another big one. Renunciation, so renunciating like all material things, excessive material things, and only keeping the things that you require for basic needs for life, and giving up all of the other things that that cause excess pleasure. And then peacefulness, so peacefulness like in mental peace, and practicing and cultivating that in your daily life. Also, some more of them I'll list them very quickly, and they're all very important. Restrained from fault finding, so not gossiping and not bitching about other people. So that cleanses your mind also, and that cleanses your speech and your tongue. Compassion throughout for all living beings, so compassion. And then absence of covetousness, so that's like absence of greed, so not being covetous, C-O-V-E-T. So like absence of greed, that's a very big one. Gentleness, modesty, lack of fickleness, and vigor. So vigor, because we don't want to be lazy. Laziness is looked down upon. Vigor means that we are doing all of our service, we're doing all of our prescribed duties and activities with joy and with energy, and not being lazy about it. We're doing them with great vigor, with great energy. And then forgiveness or forbearance. So the ability to forgive, like the attitude of forgiving people even though they hurt you. And then fortitude. Fortitude means strongness and strength of the mind. Being strong-willed is extremely important. So if somebody yells at you at work, or if your boss yells at you, or if your boss tells you you're stupid, or if you have a fight with your best friend, or if you meet somebody who is your arch nemesis and your arch enemy, and they start to say hateful things towards you, like, fortitude of the mind is going to get you through, because you're going to be like, I have the ability to forbear, I have the ability for forbearance, I have the ability to forgive, and I am really strong-minded. I'm not going to be affected by this. I'm not going to be affected by this negativity. And then cleanliness, so like taking a shower and a bath every day, taking care of your teeth, taking care of your body. Cleanliness is next to godliness, so cleanliness of like yourself and the space around you, and also the people around you, making sure you are also in good relationships with the people and they're also nice. Cleanliness of the body, cleanliness of the mind, that is next to godliness. And then bearing enmity towards no one, so not having any animosity or any enmity towards anyone, and being friends in a friendly nature, and also if not that, just being not affected by anyone, just being neutral towards everyone and not being involved with them. And then the last one is absence of vanity. So a lot of people who get wrapped up in this material world and material illusion, this Maya, they just acquire a lot of material things like that, objects and stuff, and they show it off. And when you are going on the divine path, when you are acquiring all of these divine qualities, we're gonna want to be not showing off, or not wanting to acquire all of these things and be arrogant and show it off. So absence of vanity. So those are all of the divine qualities, all of the qualities that are virtuous, virtues of saintly nature. So that's when you see somebody, when we have these qualities, or when you or somebody has all of these qualities and they are practicing them on a daily basis, and it becomes a part, like their personality, and a part of, like, all of these qualities become a part of them, they are basically a saint. And we have to make sure that we are following them. So when you have all of these, you have the virtues of saintly nature, you have all the divine qualities, and you're closer to God. And if anything negative comes up, like, you immediately know that, oh, this is the negative energy in me, and I'm going to drive this away by thinking about God and always being in the shelter and the covering of God. Now we will talk about the 6 traits of demonic nature. So we already talked about the divine qualities, the qualities that we want in ourselves and in other people around us. What are the demonic qualities? So, and you can see, like, all of the people who you tried past in your daily lives, like, you can sense, your body can sense and your mind can sense that they're toxic or they're negative, and you can kind of sense there's something wrong with them, but you don't really identify it, or you don't really know to pick a name or describe a name to it. So here they are. So the 6 traits of demonic nature. So when a person acts arrogant and disrespectful towards others. So arrogant and disrespectful, that's demonic. And then proud and conceited. So having a lot of pride, having a lot of ego, always showing off, always saying, I am better, or I'm the best, or I can do this and nobody else can do it like me, and stuff like that. And always praising oneself. That's proud, and that's conceited. They could be about their bodily possessions, about their designations, such as their wealth, their education, their beauty, and their position. It could be about all of those things, all of those characteristics. So that's demonic also. And then they become angry when their lust and their greed are not fulfilled, or when their lust and their greed are frustrated. Again, we have the 3 very big pillars the 3 very big pillars to hell. There's 3 very big gates to hell, which are anger, lust, and greed. So anger, lust, and greed. Why? Because if you're angry, you are agitated. And it's usually because you lust something, or you want to go after something. Like, you see that dress and then it immediately triggers your lust. And then you become really angry and agitated because you don't have that dress that you desire, and your lust is not fulfilled. And then therefore you become very greedy, like, I want this, and that drives your whole body, that drives your whole life process to go after that thing and to chase that thing. So they become angry when their lust and greed are frustrated, and the anger destroys all of the natural processes of their body. It affects their blood pressure, it affects their heart health, it affects their mental health, it affects everything, liver, kidneys, everything. So that's how you know that's another trait of demonic